Good morning. Hi, this is Frank Messina, and this is the June 18, 2024 meeting of the Chatham Historical Commission. There are some notes we have to say before we start. Before we do that, I'd like to just acknowledge the passing of one of our senior members and take a second. Don Aikman has been a member of the Historical Commission for, must be 25 years. And he was a good friend and kind of my mentor when I joined 20-some years ago. And just take a second just to acknowledge the passing of Don and the loss to the community and to the Historical Commission. Okay. Please note, this meeting is being recorded and will be available shortly hereafter for scheduled and on-demand viewing on any smartphone or tablet device. If anyone else is recording the meeting, please notify the chairman. Seeing none. Pursuant to Governor Healy's March 29, 2023 signing of Acts of 2023, extending certain provisions of the certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency, suspending certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law, General Law 30A-20, until March 31st, 2025, this meeting of the Chatham Historical Commission is being conducted in person and via remote participation. Every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately address the proceedings as provided for in this order. Reminder that persons who would like to listen to this meeting while in progress may do so by calling the phone number 508-945-4410, conference ID 177-104-321, hashtag, or by joining the meeting online via Microsoft Teams to the link posted on the agenda. While this is a live broadcast and simulcast on Channel TV. Despite our best efforts, we will not be able to provide for real-time access. We will post the record of this meeting on the town's website as soon as possible. I would just note in rereading this, despite our best efforts, we may not be able to provide for real-time access. Mother Nature and the electrons are not necessarily cooperating this morning. There might be an issue with the online access, and so we'll do our best to pause and see if we can reconnect that. But just for the members of the public, I see some members out there. Just so you know what's happening, we may lose the connection. Okay. Thank you very much for the attention. I guess our first item of agenda is the roll call. Bob Lear, Vice Chair.
Here.
Steve Burlingame, Clerk.
Here.
Stephanie Hamilton.
Here.
Sandy Porter.
Here.
Is that a here?
Here.
Gotta speak up into the mic. Janet Tennyson is absent. Robert Stevenson.
Here.
And Nancy Barr.
Here.
We are missing two members of the commission for regular members, Don, of course, and Janet Tennyson. So both alternate members, Robert Stevenson and Nancy Barr, who normally would participate in all discussions, will also, in addition, be active members in today's meeting and vote. And I would note the chair votes here. So we do have a quorum. The first item on our agenda is the minutes. We have minutes of June 4th, 2024. Annie, I gave you an A+ when I read these minutes, so. Any comments, questions, or suggestions? Thank you. Second, please.
Second.
Thank you very much. Just a quick comment. You know, I do appreciate the fact that, you know, in the minutes you don't just say Joe Schmo was here, but a few words, you know, a paragraph or so about what the essence of the dialogue that ensured. I think that's important. And I do appreciate your efforts in doing that. Okay, roll call. Mr. Lear?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Stephanie?
I have to abstain, I wasn't here.
Thank you. Sandy?
Yes.
Bob Stevens?
Yes.
And Nancy?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Okay. we have two applications and a couple of items on the agenda that we're going to discuss and provide an update to. But let's get right to the applications. The first application, 24015, to be heard in a chapter 158, 23 Mill Hill Lane. Leslie, can you step forward and give us an update? This will be heard in addition to chapter 158, but also in accordance with section 12E of the Cape Cod Commission Act, as it is a potentially contributing structure in the National Register District. So, if you can give us a quick overview.
Good morning. That was into the mic. I'm Leslie Schneeberger, architect for Andrew and Kelly Friendly. Andrew is joining us online, and also with us is Jamie Norcross. The Kelly's home was originally, or is, the Cyrus Gould House. As you've all seen, were able to attend the site visit. It is a small cottage, very typical Cape. And we are looking to do simple additions to it. The owners are preservationists at heart, and their mother, who preceded them with the house, was very conscientious to take care of the house and maintain it. It is very much in its original condition. So we needed to do a few things so that the house will last even longer as the owners' family grows and as they use it a little bit in the off-season and as they're aging. The priorities were to get a stair that is a manageable stair rather than the very tight old stairs up to the second floor, as well as some office space and a bathroom related to the primary bedroom. We did this by removing, I think I can get this to work. Hold it the whole time? Yeah. Thank you. Aha. So off at the side of the house, the side entry that faces the driveway, we intend to remove the sidewall to make space for an addition right in this area here. The windows that you see in blue, as well as that window that is not in blue but is obviously within that area, and the door will all be removed. The windows that are blue are actually going to be reused. The one down at the bottom will be used at the front of the house, and then the one up at the top will be moved closer to the existing window here in the gable. The reason for moving them is because they're going to be viewed with the other windows that are existing historic windows, and we didn't want it to be out of keeping. Then the area right here over what is currently the kitchen, and what seems to me in viewing their Form B was built in maybe the 60s, is where we'll be removing the roof, but actually keeping interior. There are some rafters in the kitchen, keeping those and putting new joists up above that to build a second floor that will house that office and additional bathroom. If we could go forward. There's also some work with the existing dormer gets opened up as well, because when this roof pops up, it needs to join over to the main house. Again, a window that is being removed and reused next to the existing windows, while that one we do not have a location for, that is coming out. The addition is planned to be as much in keeping with the existing house as possible. The part closest to the driveway is now going to be housing a mudroom, so it helps buffer hot or cold air when you come into the house, because normally you come right into the dining room. This creates an anti-space and a space that you can put things down. They had a very small mudroom, and that mudroom is being lost to create the larger stair. We've worked with, the home has all of its existing beams exposed actually in the dining room, and we've worked within that pattern to get the stairs to fit going right up without disturbing the house or the structure, but it took away their mudroom, so we're creating new. And with that, I will take questions.
Why don't you do me a favor, just show the elevations that you have. I think it's 2.0 and 2.1.
That is the existing. that is the area being removed and the other area being removed. And I think if we go even further down, we'll find, you're looking for the proposed?
Yep. So this is the completed?
Correct. So you can see, now that I know how to do this, this area right here is the existing cape, and then this right here is the proposed. This window is the one that came down from that lower area of the gable, matching the others. This is that addition from the driveway side. Worked very hard to match the roof pitches and come down just slightly on where it's all positioned so that it comes in and steps in. The original trim remains, but we're matching and carrying it forward. We're using the same size window that we've taken out of the little area here. But because this elevation is new material, we're using a new window in this as well. And they'll all be simulated divided light, matching the existing ones. Then this here is the addition that houses the bath and office. Going over the kitchen area to break that up because these are very low ceilings. We had to use as much roof as we could, or height as we could, but didn't want to obviously go any higher than the existing cape. We broke that up by putting a little farmer's porch coming off of their side patio, which is their only outdoor space for entertaining, and so this just becomes an extra area.
That's what I wanted to see, what the farmer's porch would look like.
Yep.
And then go to the north elevation, if you could. Okay.
So because of the addition at the back, you can't see the farmer's porch, so we did it actually as a section, just to help understand what this is looking like.
I find these are all computer generated?
Actually, the elevations and plans that are proposed are hand-drawn.
So these here, are they hand-drawn?
Correct.
Ah, okay. I thought somebody magically had a computer program.
There are filters.
to make
It
it
did
look
not
like it
use
was
a filter.
hand-drawn.
It was my filter.
I mean, it's getting so, compared to what it used to be, with a slide rule and a French curve, right?
I use some of those.
I'm dating myself. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Let's start. It's very, very nice presentation as always, Leslie, and
Thank you.
let's see what comments. Go around the room. Start with you, Sandy. Any comments?
Are you going, will you be reusing or not reusing, maybe putting the solar panels back on the roof?
As much as possible, yes. And the nice thing, the advantage about the solar panels that you saw on the first elevations on that kitchen L is the addition is much higher. So actually the panels will become much less visible because to eye level, they will be up higher.
Great, and you're going to try to save those pear trees.
Yes.
Nice, very nice presentation.
Thank you very much.
Steph?
Just wondering, you're going to put the same cedar up on the new portion?
Yes, correct.
Thank you.
Steve?
Generally, I think it's fine. I would like to talk a little bit about that small window on the south elevation. It's going to be removed and discarded, apparently. The south elevation,
Right there.
yeah. That's the small window there. My understanding is that's gone, as opposed to moving.
Well, truth be told, we're still looking at putting it actually on the exact opposite elevation, but it has not worked out. We'd have to come back to you if we can make it work, because it's in a closet area. We're looking to rearrange some things. So if you wouldn't mind going down to, I believe, the very last page. So you can see here, there's another one of those little windows. We're looking if we can get it to fit in here, but we haven't determined that with the structure we're working out. We would have to come back to you if we do. So we're reserving it for that, or you're right, it wouldn't be reused.
That small window is a little bit larger than most small windows that appear in that location under the eaves, but they are a nice feature of an old cape. you also talked on the new south elevation, that there will be a small window in the gable, but it will not be the window that's being removed.
We looked originally at it using the window that is being removed, and so it does match its proportions. But as I said, the new windows, while they'll have the same mutton size, they'll be simulated divided light grills on the outside and inside. I feel pretty strongly that they're going to look different, and I don't want to emphasize the difference between the new ones and the historic one on the same elevation. That's why we're using every effort we can to reuse the existing when you see them all together, and then when we do new, to do the new together.
I just hate to see you lose such a important historical fenestration. But other than that, Leslie, you've done a nice job as usual, and thank you.
Thank you.
Good. Look, one quick comment. You know, guys, the microphone's so important to me because I'm deaf as a doornail. But do me a favor, when you're talking, just move your microphone to the right because the microphone's over here and you're talking that way, okay? Just, it'll help me. Members of the public possibly too. Nancy?
I appreciate the designs in your presentation and my answers that I have, my questions that I had haven't been answered.
Good. Robert?
Yes, I think you did a great presentation.
Thank you.
It seems a little crowded to me, but I realize that you're working with very difficult constraints on every level. So that's that. It just seems like you won't have much of a driveway.
True. I was commenting with Jamie on the Form B for the project, actually. Part of its historic description is that it's in an area that the homes are uniquely close together and over setbacks, and it's part of the charm of that area, which I thought was quite ironic.
That's a good way to explain it. Anyway, you've done a nice job.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was truly a cottage community, you know, when, I wouldn't say the Jersey Shore, but the things were really close, you know. Bob?
I'm all in favor of it. Frank reminds me, I was looking at a picture yesterday of my in-laws from probably the 1930s or something in that neighborhood, so I'm very familiar with it. And I'd also just like to reiterate what Frank said about the microphone. If you miss a meeting and you need to be able to vote on it at a later session, you need to watch the tape and hear it. And if I get back here, it does not get picked up, so it's even more frustrating if you're watching the recording.
I appreciate that, Bob. And we have a couple of whispers on the commission. Thank you. A nice job, and I'm really pleased that looks like the home is moving from one part of the family to the other, and looks like a very, very comfortable place. Going to be tough for a year-round one. I assume it's mostly a summer.
Mostly summer.
A summer residence. But unfortunately, that's what happens around here. We get these nice little cottages and stuff like that, and somebody decides to make it a year-round residence, and they want a bowling alley and everything else, and there we go. But again, thank you very much to the owners, and appreciate your efforts in trying to preserve this little cottage in a very historic area of the old village. You know, there's the old village and there's the old village. This is truly the central part of the historic old village. And boy, it looks like it might be an application for an awards in the future.
Perhaps.
So anyway, having said that, I think we have a general consensus. And now, as Christina holds up the card to remind me, public comment. Thank you. Any member of the public wish to speak for or against the application? In the meeting or online? Seeing none, okay, we could proceed. All right, we need a motion, Mr. Vice Chair?
Yes, I move that, well, first to do Chapter 158 first. I move that the Chatham Historical Commission finds that the building located at 23 Mill Hill Lane is historically significant because it is in whole or in part 75 years old or more, is located within the Chatham National Register District, or the Old Village National Register District. And the commission also finds it is associated with one or more historical persons in the economic life of the community and possesses architectural value or style in terms, in terms of period and style.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any other comments? Roll call, Bob,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Steph,
Yes,
Sandy,
Yes.
Robert,
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. Okay?
All right, second part of Chapter 158. The Chatham Historical Commission also finds that the proposed work to be done dated May 15th, 2004, will not materially diminish the historic significance of the building, and therefore the commission does not impose a demolition delay.
I'll second.
Second, Stephanie, any other comments? Okay. Bob,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Steph,
Yes,
Sandy,
Yes.
Robert,
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. Okay, there's one more.
Cape Cod Commission motion, I move the Chatham Historical Commission confirms that the home built located at 23 Mill Hill Lane is a contributing structure in the National Historic Register District.
I'll second.
Second, thank you very much. Any other comments? Seeing none, roll call. Bob,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Steph,
Yes,
Sandy,
Yes.
Robert,
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes.
And second part of Cape Cod Commission, I move that Chatham Historical Commission finds that the materials presented this date showing that the proposed alterations do not constitute a substantial alteration to a contributing structure located in the National Historic Register District, and therefore a referral to the Cape Cod Commission for review is not necessary.
I'll second.
Second again, we're on a roll. Any other comments? All right, roll call. Bob,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Steph,
Yes,
Sandy,
Yes.
Robert,
Yes.
Nancy, and the
Yes.
chair votes yes. Thank you very much, and I guess appreciate the friendly family, and thank you very much for what you're doing there. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie. Okay. The next application. Jamie. Excuse me. Just quickly. Quick aside, did you get my message from Mr. Riley? No. In reference to that house that they're looking to gain access to potentially salvage on Crowell Road?
He didn't give me the message, but I did speak to somebody else about that, so we're
Okay.
working on getting the access.
All right, thank you.
Figuring out the schedule for that.
Thank you very much. I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. I want to take advantage of seeing him leaving. Okay, application 24016. This is to be heard in accordance with Chapter 158, 151 Old Harbor Road, originally filed by our dear and departed friend Mark Zebrad. And in his presence and absence, we have, introduce yourself.
My name's Jonathan Welch. I'm here representing the Metters family at 151 Old Harbor Road and filling in for our late Mark Zebrad on his request for this. This is my first time doing this, so bear with me.
We'll be nice to you.
All right. I can handle it. All right, I met some of you on the site visit yesterday. There were a couple things I think brought up, and I've gotten some answers just overnight last night. This is an older home. At one point, it was a multifamily. There's a lot of history in the house I've learned about. I've done quite a bit of work on the house and on the back barn as well. I believe the Dubas family actually lived in this house at one point. Anyways, it's the second home in the town of Chatham to get town water. Actually, on their water bill, it says number 2, and Chatham Bars Inn was number 1. They brought it down Old Harbor Road, from what I heard. So it's an old house. What they're looking to do here is simply put on an 11 by, I believe, 26-foot addition on the northeast side of the home, which would be the right side of the house looking from Old Harbor Road. And this is basically to move the master primary suite to the first floor for Keith and Wendy from the second floor. Just extending that one bedroom and adding a bathroom to that area. There's going to be if you want to go to the next, actually you can stay on that. So you see on the right side here, we've got basically just an 11-foot addition. There's a 1-foot reveal on that corner. On the top of that, that'll be a rubber roof with a decking material on that of mahogany panels. And that will give Lauren and Amy, the two girls, the daughters, access from their bedroom upstairs, which they share, to come out and check out the view. All right. If you could go to the next page there, please. That's the rear elevation from what you see pretty much from their driveway, the gravel driveway from the back. Same thing, just an 11-foot extension on that would be the southeast side.
That's on the left side of the drawing, right?
Yes, sir.
Pointed out, yeah.
Correct, yep. And if you could go to the next page, please. This is a better view of what they're really trying to accomplish here. So you'll see there, that's that would be a slider with the fixed panel. These are all Marvin Ultimate brand SDL, which the rest of the house has the same. You know, they've redone those at times. So
There's a
it's
slider out of the bedroom.
correct. Yep. And upstairs out of the bedroom, there was 2 windows here. Those will be replaced with a 6-foot slider for the girls to come out and hang out on the deck. All right. We're pretty much just going to copy everything else in the house. It's just going to be cedar A sidewall, Marvin integrity windows. There's no historical trim or significance getting removed because that was a newer section of the home that had been added on to not too long ago. The rails on the second floor on the deck up here will also be an AZAC material. So they'll be bright white to match the rest of the trim. And that's pretty much it, is what I got for you.
Well, let me start by saying, this property goes back to the 1920s, and it is, in my opinion, a very good example, as is pointed out in the Form B, of a bungalow craftsman property in 1920s. We don't have a lot of craftsmen in Chatham, but this is a true example of one. You know, kind of, in my view, occasionally this commission has discussions of historical significance, and like everything's got to be 1700. Well, in this case, this is 1920s. It does fall under our bylaw, 75 years, but it also is a unique, you know, craftsman-style bungalow. I'll be honest with you, when I look at it and look at the Form B and look at and that drawing says it all to me, you know, it's a bit much in terms of, now granted, it's the side of the house, but it's a side that's seen from the street, granted the side street, and it completely loses the, in my view, the elegance of a craftsman, the slope roof, and we got these patios and sliders, you know. And then on top of it off, I guess those of us who made the site visits were chagrined at the loss of that large tree, you know, for in all due respect, you know, a walk-in closet, you know, and a bathroom. So, I don't know. I know this is very, general comments, but I do have issues with it and how you approached it. This in terms of not making it consistent with the lines and the quality of the existing Craftsman home. So I got to cogitate on this one a little bit and let the other members of the commission speak. Unless you want
Can I add to
make some
that? Yeah.
comment.
What I do disagree with, being in the business and whatnot, the great thing about a Craftsman home is they are not symmetrical. You know, there's a lot of different additions if you look at the other
Yes,
side of the
absolutely.
home. So by adding this, I don't think you're losing that look.
Well,
I think you're gaining a lot of functionality for the
no
owner.
question you're getting functionality, but look at the lines of the existing, and then look at the lines of the squared-off boxes that you're adding.
Right. Can we go to the left side elevation of this, please? So again, there's many different roof lines, pitches, additions, and bump outs throughout the house,
Yeah.
including,
All sloped,
right.
which is typical of Craftsman. Anyway, well, why don't we,
I got you.
let me go around the room. Let's start at this side. Nancy?
I wasn't there yesterday, so I haven't seen it in person except for driving by. I don't have the same
Sorry,
challenge.
say that again?
I haven't been there except for driving by, so what I say is, with a grain of salt, because some of you were there. I don't have the same problems with it that you do, Frank. I hear what you're saying, and it's a good point regarding the Craftsman. I mean, it definitely is. Let me step back. It's a great example of a Craftsman-style house, and we need to be focusing on homes that were built 1920s and moving forward, more modern, more than we have as a commission in the past. So I think it's important that we do consider this as a significant architectural contribution to that period. I don't find that the proposed additions ruin that for me, but I think you made a good point.
Thank you. Robert?
It's a beautiful house. That's the first thing that struck me, and it's a beautiful yard with some beautiful views. It's a nice, nice house. And in understanding what you're doing, I realize I realize what you're trying to accomplish, but for me, it looked just too boxy, and that's what really. It just looked like it was a very modern addition put on this beautiful older structure. I wondered if anywhere along the road, please don't take this in any personal or negative way, but I'm just wondering if along the way any preservationists that had some kind of credential came and maybe tossed out their ideas. This is honestly something I could have come up with on my own without any help. I'm in favor of homeowner rights. So I'm probably not one to tell you what you can do or not do, but this didn't do it quite for me.
Bob?
Well, I agree that the idea is fine. I also agree with Frank that we should be trying to preserve more of these shapes. And I guess like Robert, looking at it, I was trying to think, how could you get your goals with having something that's not quite so boxy? But again, I come from the old village, which is made up of old houses with things added on them. Not quite as different things as you're proposing here, I guess. So I'm still somewhat up in the air. I think what you want to do in terms of purpose is great, but whether the execution could be improved is, I think it could, so.
Sandy?
I actually,
Just try to get closer to the microphone, huh? Move the microphone closer to you, don't, there you go, pick it up.
Too heavy.
I agree with, and I don't often agree with Frank, but I happen to really agree with Frank on this issue. And you got to save that tree.
Yeah, Jeff?
I first of all want to thank you for the plans. It helps so much for me to see the proposed and the existing on the same page.
Okay.
I agree, it's boxy, but I don't see it as something that I could not vote for.
Yeah, I'm so sorry, Steve.
I am not up in the air. The craftsman style, I think, is largely preserved. You're staying away from any changes to that, which is to me, the primary part of that is the front of the house. That's craftsman style to me. It's going to remain. I'm looking at this series of pictures, and on the right-hand side, the second picture down, I've never seen such an accumulation of additions on one house in one picture, none of which perfectly mimic the craftsman style. If the craftsman style of this house was extraordinary, it was destroyed many editions ago, in my estimation. I agree with Nancy that, yeah, in a perfect world, if it's sort of more of a perfect craftsman house that hadn't been disturbed before, I'd look at it a little more closely. But in this situation, I understand the need for an addition for you or your clients. And its location on the house is not, to me, doesn't substantially interfere with the craftsman style that the house had and still has in many respects. And I will certainly support the application.
Yeah. Yeah, I tend to agree with some of the comments the fellow members are making, but just because other changes were made not necessarily consistent with the full, it doesn't mean we have to continue it, but, and this has been before us a number of times, this property, and we have authorized changes specifically in the garage area and stuff like that. But this one just kind of bothers me, especially when I look at that drawing and yeah, you could put an addition on there, and you could have done more, in my opinion, from a design perspective, my dear friend Mark Zebret, listening to me from up there. And I think Mark would have taken what we had to say and say, yeah, you're right, let me go back and take another look at it and find another way to accomplish the functionality that they want to put in. And so it just bothers me to lose that functionality, that design on that side of the house. So anyway, that's my opinion. Having said that,
Frank, can
I think we need a motion. I'm sorry?
Sorry, can I just, sorry,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
know I had a chance to speak, but I would like to say something else. To me, one of the things that is important is that they're coming in for a demolition delay bylaw, and the part of the house that they are demolishing in order to do the addition is not the historic part of the house. It is an addition that was done quite tastefully in following the historic roof lines, so I totally get what you're saying, but I do think it's important that, we're not in the old village, and it's an important house contributing to a historic structure, but we are not talking about demolishing a part of the historic structure itself, and that to me is important.
I agree with you, but we have already determined this house to be historically significant. So we don't have to go back there, but we could.
No, I'm just saying, but
once-
I
once
think
you
it's
determine a
important to
house is
consider
historically
what part of the house they're demolishing.
well,
And
my
we
right
do
leg-
that all the time.
My
We do
right
that all
leg
the
is
time.
historic, but my left leg is not.
I know, but Frank, we do that all the time with houses that are great, and we
Yeah.
say, well, this is a modern addition that you're changing. It's just a point, I don't want to argue.
That's all
you
right.
know.
Argument is good. It's good for the soul. Yeah. All right, well, at this particular point, we probably talked it out. Somebody want to make a motion, Bob?
Well, I'm going to assume before I do that, there's a consensus that it remains historically significant.
Yeah, why don't we do it again?
Okay. I move that the Chatham Historical Commission find that the house located at 151 Old Harbor Road is historically significant because it is in whole or in part 75 years old or more, and it is associated with some historical persons in the town of Chatham, and it possesses architectural value or significance in terms of its period and style.
I'll second.
Thank you, Steph. Any other comment? Bob?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Steph?
Yes,
Sandy?
No,
Was that a yes?
no.
That it's not historically
Oh,
significant?
yes, but I thought we established
Yes,
that.
no.
Yes.
Okay, well, we did that one again. Robert?
Yes.
Nancy, yes. Chair votes yes. Okay, Robert. Bob? I got to give Bob and Robert. I'll get that right.
Well, we'll start with the positive, or offer the positive. Chatham Historical.
Turn on your mic.
turn off your light.
Sorry. Chatham Historical Commission also finds that the proposed work to be done dated May 15th, 2024, will not materially diminish the historic significance of the building, and therefore the commission does not impose a demolition delay.
Second?
Second.
All right. Okay, we're going to do a roll call. Bob?
No.
No. Steve?
Yes.
Stephanie?
Yes,
Sandy?
No,
Robert?
No.
Nancy?
Yes?
And the chair votes no. So we determined that is it an impact to the historical significance, 4-3, but you didn't impose a demolition delay in that motion.
Yes, you did.
Yes, you
Did
did.
I overhear you?
I said does not impose a demolition delay.
Okay, fine. All right. Does not impose a demolition delay,
Which was turned down.
which was just turned down. So now a motion would be, if we want to impose a demolition delay, what does that mean? We'd like you to take another look at the design. That's all we're saying. Take a look at it. So I would say reasonably, and if, no matter what we impose, you can come back here tomorrow and give us something, if you decide to do that, rather than call out the delay. What, a 3-month demolition delay? Is that something that could be? Give the applicant an opportunity to take a look at it?
Sounds fair to me.
All right, why don't
Sounds
you do
fair to
that?
me.
All right. All right, I move that you want me to move it, Bob? Why don't you do it?
Go ahead, or either one.
I move that we impose a 3-month demolition delay on the property.
Yep.
151 Old Harbor Road. Get a second?
second.
All right, a second? Any other discussion?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I think that if we're going to impose a 3-month demolition delay, we should have a little more discussion to give some direction to the designer as to what we would be looking for. And about the only thing that I come away with is a little boxy, or too boxy.
Well, that's about it. I think he understands what we're
Right?
talking
Yeah,
about.
That's what I'm trying to get at,
Well,
is to be clear that if the design were to change, if you were to bring back a change, and you
I
don't
think I
have,
made that point to him. He can come back at any time with an alternate design to discuss with the chair and then bring it back to the commission.
I understand. Can I finish?
Yeah, hurry up.
That you need not come back with any change. You know, it's up to you. The delay is a delay, but what I'm anxious to do is to give you a little bit of direction so that you don't come back with another box or whatever. I haven't heard any comments about the size of the addition as being inappropriate. It's just the roof line kind of consideration.
Thank you. Are you done?
Apparently, I'm done.
Good. I think we made this very clear to him. I'm happy that you want to repeat it again, but I think we made it very clear to him that it's an issue of the design and the lines of the Craftsman House. And you're right, absolutely, it's obvious. I think I said that. He doesn't have to come back, but he can come back. But I'm trying to make it easy for him to come back with a decision, okay? All right, let's do a roll call. Bob?
And somebody,
What are we voting on?
yeah.
We're voting on a
Make it-
3-month demolition delay.
And Sandy seconded it. I seconded it.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Seconded it.
Second.
We had the discussion.
Thank you.
We need the vote.
So we have a 3-month demolition delay that was voted and seconded. So I'm doing a roll call on the 3-month demolition delay. Bob?
Yes.
Steve?
No.
Steph?
No.
Sandy?
Yes.
Robert?
Yes.
Nancy?
Yes, I'll support the 3 months.
Yes. Thank you. And the chair votes yes. One more time to make it clearer, because Mr. Burlingame doesn't think it made it clear enough. You can come back at any time, call Christina if you have something.
I already know what you want.
Okay, and again,
I'm already in there.
you're with me?
I'm with
All right, do you have any other questions before we leave you from the jury here?
I do have one comment.
Go.
I think one design, I'm not an architect by any means, but I'll have it obviously on paper, is, a way to save the tree and to give you the
If possible.
craftsman style that you're looking for. I would just clip the two corners of that building rather than it being a complete square. I just bring them back 2 feet on each corner, have a nice,
I think we could do that. and I
Little
think
different look.
Paul could put something nice together.
I'm going right over there.
How's he doing?
See you tomorrow.
How's he doing?
He's doing okay.
Okay. Give our regards from the commission.
I will.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Okay. All right, guys. The simple ones are always not necessarily simple. We have 2 other items I wanted to discuss under new business, but let me jump to old business first, just to get that out of the way. The issue of the listing of the Nickerson family dig on the National Register as an historical site. As I indicated last time, Holly is talking about October to complete that. Interesting enough, the Nickerson Family Association did a talk on Saturday as part of History Weekend by former Judge Gary Nickerson, who was intimately involved in the dig. And it was quite interesting. I think he's going to be doing it again. And we've been in touch with Holly at the PAL, her archaeological firm, to try and move that along, because I think there's a lot of interest from the Nickerson Family Association to move this forward. So hopefully we'll see if we can get this to Mass Historic sometime before the end of the year, and then deal with the issue of a proposal. And I'm saying, bringing this up officially to let Christina know we need to have a conversation with the director of the community development, that we might find a way for funding. And just correct me again, CP person, you, not you personally, there's nothing personal. You know,
Yes, sir.
the CPC turned us down the last time we applied to do a study, and that's still just the sense of the current CPA.
Yes.
Okay, so I just wanted to confirm that again. So we're going to probably have to go find some other funding. I was thinking of a bake sale or something like that. I think it's about 10 grand.
Lemonade.
Say again?
Car wash.
Right, car wash, something like that. Okay, the other thing, just on old business, is the return of the Coast Guard boathouse. If you go down to Stage Harbor on 90 Bridge Street, there's a lot of work being done, putting a new bulkhead in. So it's proceeding, even though, our boathouse is still up in Quincy, and, hope springs eternal to bring that down. Okay, having got that out of the way,
Frank,
yes.
if I may?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Just because I think you need to have this in the minutes. Before we adjourn, we imposed a 90-day demo delay on the last hearing we had.
Yes,
We
ma'am.
did not state as of today's date.
Yeah, that's when it usually is.
Okay,
Yeah.
just from
The way it
minutes
works,
in.
traditionally, it's, what Christina writes a determination, which, by the way, will make this perfectly clear in the write-up of the determination of what we're doing, and I think the applicant understands. He has, 3 months to think about it or come back to us, and, and we will do that. Whether or not, it's a good question. The process usually that we've done in the past, when somebody comes back, he comes back to Christina, Christina gives it to me, I take a look at it, we say, yeah, I think this has a good opportunity. If he comes back and, doesn't change anything, we can tell him, it's your choice, you could come back formally, but I don't think you hit it. You're not there. And so there's a bit of a dialogue back and forth. We don't want to waste people's time and money, including us. Now, unfortunately, we don't have another meeting. It's a good question. Our next meeting, which is potentially in July, is an issue, but that's only like a month away, so it would be in September. So I think officially, we're going to not have a problem in noticing the meeting. If somebody coming back, we still have to notice it.
Correct. We would have a meeting in August. We have one scheduled in August, so it would be before September
Right.
if they're coming back.
Okay, so, we bend over backwards to facilitate the applicants, trust me. I say we, Christina,
And, sorry,
and
Frank,
the office,
when they came back, we would then potentially
Yes, we
have
would have
another
it.
vote to lift it.
to lift the demolition
yes.
delay. That's the way it works, very simply. This is not the first rodeo for us, guys. Okay. What I wanted to do is to, oh, you gave me all the copies, didn't you?
If you could pass them down to
Say again?
they did not. get
Pass it down
theirs.
that way?
Yeah,
Steve, would you send them down?
thank you.
You got it? And there. So everybody's got a copy? This is Eric Dre's comment to me. We updated the survey plan. And he took a look at it, and I'm going to read it. He streamlined the survey plan recommendations. So on page 6, and I'm not going to do it now because obviously everybody hasn't done it, their homework, so to speak. On page 6 of the updated survey, which you now have, everybody has this, Christina? Okay. So in the updated survey plan, which you now have, okay, on page 6, Eric made some recommendations, okay? And what I really would like you to do is to really think about it, because this is potentially another expenditure of money, but what we should prioritize. His recommendation is that we should update the Form Bs that were completed between 78 and 91, okay? He's attached an example, and the example is on, I guess it's 239 Main Street? Yeah, 239 Main Street, which is an example of a Form B that was done back in 91, and they did a good job, but, there's a lot has happened since then. And if you could just take a quick look, I think you have it, or if you don't have it, we'll make it available, of the kind of work that was done then. God love us. A lot of stuff handwritten, I remember when I first got on the commission with my dear friend Don Aikman, the members of the commission did the Form Bs. Right, Nancy? We were each assigned like 30 or 40 addresses and said, go do the Form B. And I said to myself, what did I get into by joining this commission? And very soon afterwards, we realized that we were not professionals, although someone like Nancy is. Those of us who were not said, no, I don't want to do this. It's hard. And then we began the process of hiring professionals, professional preservation consultants to do it. And that's where we are. Having said that, we still had a lot of Form Bs which were not done professionally. And, I was fascinated by the town of Chatham and its boards and commissioners not taking the court more often. Because if we went to court on whether something is historically significant with this handwritten piece of stuff, the judge would probably throw it out. So what we're trying to do is just to make things more legalistic and codified. It's one thing for Frank Messina to say something's historically significant. It's another thing for a preservation consultant, somebody who's a professional, to say something in terms of that. So that's the first question there. Should we take a look at, as Eric said, with those applications between 78 and 91? I'm not asking to look at every one, but just a general example of whether or not we should do. The other thing, he felt there was about 120 Form Bs located within the National Register District in the current, and he would take another look at some of those Form Bs which were done. So anyway, you just take a look at it, look at the survey, get yourself a sense of it. Because if I go back for money to the Historical Commission, to the Community Development, I want to make sure we're all at least thinking. I don't expect everybody to dot every I, cross any Ts, but take a look at it. And you can always go on the MACRAWs and look at any of the Form Bs that you want. So that's where we are. The other recommendation that he made.
Frank, just a
Yes,
quick interruption.
yes, sir.
Is that something like this, I appreciate. It's somebody who really cared about these things, that made an effort, rather than send it back and have it all retyped and mimeographed or whatever they did back in those days, put down some important information. And I couldn't put this down. I appreciate the fact that it was somebody's effort at making an update. It makes it a little bit more real, a little more quaint, a little more period to see somebody really trying to improve upon an important piece of property, that's all.
We don't lose them, by the way. When you go to MACRAWs, in addition to the updated one, these are there.
Yeah.
In other words, it's not lost in history, that whoever did this, Tina Dorham, in 1976, her work is there. It's part of the history.
Yeah, okay.
It's just that when you look at, as time goes by, records are more accessible, things are known, and it's a more, hate to use it, more professional way to approach something like that. When you make a determination, yeah, this thing is really historically significant. The other recommendations, if you will, was the issue of the area forms, okay? We talked about this, but we never made a decision of whether or not we should do something. And I'm looking at the bottom of page 6, where he asked that we take a look at, I can't pronounce that, Mashapatuxet. There's a cottage community, 15 cottages along Patuxet Trail in South Chatham. And there's Harding Shores and Harding Beach Hills. Two adjacent example of post-World War subdivisions. And of course, last but not least, the infamous River Bay. So what Eric is saying here is that, just that we looked at a house today which was built in 1925 and 1930, 50 years from now, these collection of homes, are going to possibly, hopefully still exist, and there should be some documentation. That's not to say we're going to take River Bay and put it on the National Register. But what it does say, that we're going to spend a little money and time to have Eric look at what happened. When was River Bay built? Anybody? 50s. No? Late 50s, early 60s. Say again?
Late 50s, early 60s.
Late 50s?
I think it was subdivided in later. Sorry. I have to go back and check. I think it was subdivided in the late 50s. I'm not sure the first homes were built until after 1960.
850s, that means it's almost 75 years old, guys.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
know that.
So before we start to just, oh, it's River Bay, we're not gonna, let's look at what we're looking at. You know, just as we looked at a house from 1924 and said, well, there's something there to be saved, or some kind of thing, you know, let's at least document it. I mean, by the purpose of the commission, in addition to saving everything, or trying to save everything, is to document what we have before we lose it. And that's the purpose here. So give us some good thought, and I'm gonna come up with some specific questions, and before our next meetings, you know, I'll say, what do you think about this, and then we'll make some decisions on Eric's hearing. So you have, again, you have Eric's memo, okay? You have the, you know, shortcut of the survey, not the whole survey. And you've got examples of what he's talking about, of homes, of Form Bs that he thinks should be updated. And then we'll take it from there to see what we want to do. Okay? Secondly, Nancy, in joining the commission, is a troublemaker. And she said,
Welcome, Nancy.
she said, well, you know,
Just what we need.
and I know my friend
don't even know
Steve
you-
to my right has often said, we should be looking at some of these things. And I say yes, and I write them down. But I don't know about your life. My life's complicated. At least it's been very complicated the last year and a half as I stand up straighter. Is look at the issues on hold, okay? I'm just going to review the bylaw relative to the current 75-year acceptance. Should it be changed? Should it be 100? Should it be 25? Development of a preservation plan. What does that mean? A plan on how the commission would proceed to, you know, we're talking about how we're going to do potentially Form As and Bs. Well, this is to document a plan other than Frank Messina's head or some notes written down. Expansion of the administrative review process. This one I really would like to do, and that is, we have an administrative review process which currently allows an applicant not to come before the full commission, saves a lot of time and money when there's minor changes to a property, and you know, the process we have is 3 members of the commission, and by the way, I've lost 2, Don and Janet, which used to do this for me, in addition to Don. So I'm going to be calling upon other members of the commission, and basically what happens is when Christina gets an applicant, and Christina makes a decision, like somebody comes before the commission, they want to pay $150 and do a full application, and Christina will say, wait a second, this could be an administrative review. You don't have to do a full application. You don't have to hire a lawyer. We can possibly handle that. And she'll make a determination, well, it's just a window change in the back of the property or something like that. And so then what she'll do is they fill out an administrative review application, no cost, no charge, and she sends it to me, I'll look at it, and I'll say, okay, let's take a look at it. Quite honestly, if it's something I believe as chairman that it really, this is a full application, it's a National Register property in the old village, no, you got to come back to us. And then, if not, then what I do is I usually call Bob and Don or Janet, and I say, would you independently go take a look at that and give me your determination? Christina would send you the drawings electronically, you would take a look at it at your free time, and then we would say, well, we got 2 yes, 1 no, well, that's it, you know, and we approve the administrative review. Then the administrative review comes back to the commission for us to, what's the term, ratification of the previous decision. Okay? So.
Frank, let me just say that the change, the way we changed the bylaw is that 2 commissioners would look at it independently, not the 3 you just referred to, and the 2 had to agree
Okay,
in order
fine.
for it to.
Thank you for the correction. I appreciate that. It wasn't the bylaw, it was the rules and regs.
Right,
Yeah,
yes.
it was the rules and regs that we put it in.
We did have to have
So
a
the-
public hearing on it, though.
Say again?
We had to have a public hearing in order to do.
Yes, we had a public hearing on the rules and regs change, whenever we make the rules and reg. Now, what this is all about is whether or not a property is historically significant. Steve has often had this question of, well, is this really historically significant? And So the process for determination of historically significant to submit an application is at 75 years, okay? Well, something could be 75 years, but it really ain't historically significant, okay? And the applicant, as we all know, will get these applications, comes before us, we say, well, this is a slam dunk, you know, and we just say it's not historically significant. So the question is, do we want to expand the administrative review process to allow an independent person, possibly a consultant, a lot of towns do this, to make the determination that it may be 75 years, but no way is this historically significant, and do an administrative review issue? Let me just make one point. The reason we have to talk about this is currently the only way a property can be determined to be historically significant or not is by the bylaw that the full commission has to do it. So this would require a change to the bylaw, a big deal, but it's something to look into. I'm sorry, Steph, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, when Bob reads the whole thing, when Bob reads the whole thing, he says 75 years, and then he says other things that would qualify. So it's not just 75 years.
Well, that 75 years is the threshold to start it.
But what if someone's, let's say something's 45 years old and it belonged to President Reagan?
I agree.
So,
Well, now, see, you're having the discussion why we shouldn't do it. And I guess I would like to, the next time we get together, we'll have more of a discussion of why we should or should not do it. Okay? I'm sorry, Steve, you were going to say something? Yes.
I think we had a perfect example a few months ago. There was a property on Highland Avenue. It was a big box. It didn't have any architectural detail whatsoever. One of the owners, as people remember, was a fisherman. His wife used to feed the pigeons. And we decided that it was historically significant. I think we have that historical significance itself, we need to question a bit. I mean, just because somebody was a fisherman and we remembered that his wife used to feed the pigeons doesn't make it historically significant for me. The fact that he was a fisherman and kind of a character doesn't make it occupied by some significant member of the Chatham community. So I think that when we get to those situations, I think we need to spend a little more detail and time to make sure it is actually historically significant. And that house was more than 75 years old, and I think we said, yeah, that's it, historically significant, and we turned it down. We also had some concerns about previous development by the owner and what it was going to look like. But I just think it was a good example of we just need to talk about historic significance a bit more than to just read off the sheet.
You're bringing in another subject, so to speak. You know, what we're talking about is whether or not we want to delegate that decision. But obviously, you're not feeling we should because you want to have more of a dialogue on it, and that's fine.
Occasionally, not always, but occasionally, yes.
That's opinion. But, you know, a lot of this is not, unfortunately, this is not the zoning board where it's, there's law and it says 25 feet versus 30. This is history, and history is a lot of opinion. Okay, so we'll talk about that more, think about it. And the other one is kind of, we'll wait, the demolition delay, the demolition by neglect. Again, we're waiting for the town to hire a planner who can give us a hand on this thing, so it just stays on hold by lack of staff at this particular point.
Can I just ask a quick question about that?
Yes, ma'am.
Are there examples from the region of demolition by neglect bylaws? Just, have we done anything yet, or are we just kind of waiting? Is that something that would be?
Well, Stephanie, go Stephanie.
yes, we did stuff, and it was all brought before us quite a while ago. And then I believe it was brought forth with our last planner, the same things.
I see.
So some stuff has been done, but it needs to be updated.
Okay. I'd love to see if any of that, if we have it.
Well, it was the previous planner, Ryan Christenberry, who started the work. There are some towns which actually have one, Orleans is the best example. They have a demolition or,
Frank, Ryan, she just used the information I had.
say again, you can,
She just used the information that I had sent.
Right.
I-
well, she did do some, she looked into some other towns too. Well, I don't know. I was on the end of it. But either way, Orleans is an interesting example. They have a bylaw to looking at demolition by neglect, but it addresses just homes on the National Register, which quite candidly is not a bad way to get your nose under the tent. In other words, start with something like that. Homes on the National Register, or possibly homes in a National Register district, you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, you know, there was a lot of discussion and dialogue. Unfortunately, she left and we just, it stopped. Okay?
Thank you.
If you have nothing to do with your life, you want to pick it up, you're welcome. Anyway, I think that's it. I've spoken enough. So anyway, that's where we are. In our July meeting, which will probably be just discussion of these items, we will discuss it, okay? I wanted to give a heads up so we don't give anybody last minute, what is this?
Do you still want us to pick two that we think are the most important? Somewhere I read that you wanted us,
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't think about that. It's, well, we'll say, some of them are going to be, no, forget about it. But, you know, let's at least talk about it. I don't want it to be my decision. Yes, sir.
Yeah, is it too late for me to comment on this?
I'm sorry?
On this 75-year,
Sure, go ahead.
can I comment on it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I've been thinking a lot about this and I'd ask everyone to consider what I'm considering is you guys have been here way longer than I have, but let's say over the last 10 years, if we just said it was 100 years instead of 75 years, the question that I'm asking myself is, would we have missed any significant historical property if it had been moved to 100? Just 100 as an arbitrary number. So that's the first question. Would we have missed anything from elevating it another 25 years? The second question that I would ask everybody to think about is, if we went the other direction and let's say moved it to 50 years, just hypothetically 50 years, could we in fact get an early identification of a house that one day will be historically significant so that people don't wreck it early in the process? So I'm kind of looking at it on both sides of the
Yeah.
needle here, and I'm only bringing this up so that we can think about what we're doing.
Well, you know, it's like the Goldilocks thing here. Nationally, it's 50 years. Mass Historic uses 50 years to determine something, whether something could be listed on the National Register of Historic Places. So, you know, it's like, you know, just right. You know, is it in the middle? And quite candidly, the national norm is 75 years, pretty much, for historical commissions. Not every state has a historical commission, and not every community has one. But 75 years seems to be the one that's kind of just right. But
So I'm wondering if there's really a need to address that.
well, I'm only having because Steve brought it up. I don't know, I was going to say, who brought it up? Steve?
It may very well be is in what context we set the 75 years. 75 years can be one of the criteria. It might be the major criteria, but not the only criteria. So the craftsman style house on Old Academy that we talked about this morning, if that's within, it's only 60 years, well, okay, it's important, we can do it, and the 75 years won't make any difference. On the other hand, it might. So maybe we just need to take a look at 75 years and what does it mean? Is it the only criteria? Is it substantial criteria? I think we just need to address that just a little bit and probably fine tune it.
I think another reason it was brought up, I believe, is because we realized that River Bay was going to be reaching the 75 limit.
Well, it just seems to me that 75 is just kind of a starting point. It's just one of many criteria.
It is,
It's
and quite
not,
honestly.
it's not the criteria, because we see 75-year-old structures all the time that we wouldn't pay an
I
inch
want
of
to
time.
thank our vice chair, Bob Lear, when he came on the commission immediately, pointed out, you guys were saying 75 years, but you weren't giving the other reasons. We may have talked about it, and we may have said it in discussion, but we didn't actually include it in the determination, so we're making progress. How old is the commission? We're getting there. Yeah. All right, guys, unless anybody's got something important, how
I'd
about
like to make a motion that we adjourn this meeting.
Very good. No discussion, I
I
assume?
second that.
Bob?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Steph?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Robert?
Yes.
Nancy? And the
Yes.
chair votes yes. Thank you very much. Thank you, Christina.